to the Web3 Prof Podcast.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am here with Adil Hoda, who is a co-founder with West Coast NFT. Thanks for being with me here today.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Awesome to meet you today. I'm excited to talk to you. We're going to talk mainly around NFT auctions and royalties. Before we get into that, I would love to hear just a bit of your background. How did you get into Web3, and what is West Coast NFT and what do you guys do?
Got it. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur kind of guy who's done a lot of startups and kind of in the cutting edge of things that are fun and entertainment. So that's kind of was my wheelhouse for a long time. Really, I got into NFTs just because.
Wait. Fun and entertainment. I feel like we need to know more about that.
Wow.
Because it sounds interesting.
I mean, my background goes deep, but I guess, my claim to fame for my younger years was I was on Dragon's Den.
Okay.
And I used to run some Christmas sweater stores back in the day.
Christmas sweater stores?
Yeah.
Like pop-ups?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Some pop-up Christmas sweater stores, and we got a deal on Dragon's Den and with Kevin O'Leary, and he actually signed it, actually did it.
Oh, it happened.
Actually happened. This doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
And we had some fun, selling Christmas sweaters for a while. But what was cool, I guess, about me and my co-founders was we were always on the cutting edge of looking at trends and trying to capitalize on them.
Yeah.
Christmas sweaters was a crazy trend.
Yeah.
And we were part of that. Other things, we kind of jumped into this is we have a long list of little things. We used to do obstacle course races. I don't know if you remember there was a trend for that.
Like Tough Mudder type of stuff?
Yeah, like Tough Mudder. Yeah, okay. Exactly. But ours was called Zombie Survivor in Calgary, and it was you run through 200 zombies. Okay, it was cool. And then, I'm going to keep skipping forward. The next one after that, actually, which is our biggest business we built, was escape rooms, actually, which was a big one as well.
Yeah. Which
was starting getting more tech, and we built a lot of cool things there.
Interesting.
And then, I don't know, we did a bunch of other things too, but
okay.
Carrying on, I kind of went from that to no longer working for a while because I wanted some time off, and then I was kind of learning how to fly at planes, kind of just learning how to fly planes. And then I heard about NFTs and thought that was dumb JPEGs was my first gut instinct thought about what NFTs were. And then I met one of my friends I haven't seen in a while, which was Richard Chan, who's co-founder of Manifold.
Yes.
And he explained to me the use case for NFTs, and immediately it clicked. Immediately I was like, oh, that's going to work.
Right.
And I asked Richard if I could sit beside him while he worked, which is a weird request. Like, hey, can I work at your office? Is my question to him. And he said, how about instead we hire, maybe there's a position here. So I jumped on his old company while he was building Manifold, which is kind of weird. And that old company spun off West Coast NFT. West Coast NFT is, we're a group of 5 co-founders, and we are in, we kind of have a mini incubator where we take NFT projects and see them through fruition. And mostly we're dev tools, we're dev support. We're trying to allow people to take their idea with their creative and help them build out a project. And in particularly, we support PFP projects primarily. And
are you technical? Are you a developer or something like that?
I'm a below average developer. So I would say that I can I know a lot about Web3 because I've just been in it for 2 years here. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm definitely not as good as some of our full stack devs on my team.
Okay, interesting. So if I understand this correctly, so if I am an artist and I have an NFT project I want to launch, I would come to you guys. You guys are like an agency.
Yeah.
And I would hire you to do, can you once again, list the things that the support you would offer to an NFT artist?
I think one of the primary things that West Coast does is smart contracts.
Okay.
So on the Ethereum blockchain, we're very, very good at smart contracts. We're very good at minting pipelines, general support for NFT projects. And then also we have a tool suite for PFPs, like art generation. So something that, generating all the different NFT monkeys or whales or whatever it is, you have to have this art tool, and we have that art tool in house to help artists build out their collections.
Is that a proprietary project or tool that you guys built?
Yes, we have. We have a proprietary tool that we use in house that we're looking to bring to the market a little bit, actually.
Like white label it and sell it?
We're looking into white labeling with some marketplaces right now. We're looking into allowing it to be customer facing, where you can use it for free. there's a few things going on behind the scenes right now.
Yeah.
We're looking at launching it. Primarily, we've used it in-house, and it's done awesome for us over the last year and a half. And we're finding that maybe we can start sharing that tool.
Yeah. So when we look at some of the projects you guys have worked with, what are some notable projects that people might recognize or have heard about?
So yeah, I mean, I think one awesome project was MFers, which we were part of right off the onset and supporting the MFers. Another one, probably our claim to fame is probably Doodles. So we were there supporting Doodles on the very start of when Doodles started going.
Oh wow! I mean, that's become one of the biggest projects in the world.
Yeah, I think Doodles is top 10 NFT projects, maybe top 20 in the world here.
Right.
And, they're one of the few that have, raised over $50 million and it's a lot. And they're one of the few that are, that people believe that has long-term potential. I think that's, we were just talking about it this week. Our biz dev guys, we were talking about how when we wear our Doodle stuff out, people actually say, wow, that's cool. What brand is that? We've heard that a lot.
So they don't know what it is, but they think like the little pastel colored guy is cool.
Yes.
Interesting.
And actually, you know what? On that topic, here's a Doodles pen. I don't know. I brought it.
Whoa!
Just because
I've never owned a Doodles item in real life.
Yeah.
So what happened with? Were you involved then when Doodles moved from or onto Flow?
Yeah, I wouldn't say moved on to Flow.
Okay.
I will say Doodles 2 is on Flow. Yes.
Okay. And is that so? That's something that you guys were involved in?
Yes. We're still involved there.
Yeah.
We're still a technology partner with Doodles.
Okay.
So we still help them with their roadmap.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's talk about auctions first. So so someone creates an NFT project and let's say I'm an artist and I'm going to sell it. Auctions is the only way for me to sell it, or one of many different ways for me to sell my project?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few different ways. Auctions is one of the methods of creating a different kind of demand for your product. Whether instead of doing a fixed price situation where you're only selling for this price.
Mm-hmm.
An auction is a method of changing the price over time, and there's some cool mechanics that occur there as well.
Okay.
So I think one of the primary auction methods is a Dutch auction.
Mm-hmm.
So a Dutch auction is where the price would start high and would slowly fall.
Okay.
So let's understand that a little bit more. So a key, the first people who kind of worked on this was, I would say VFriends was very cool into Dutch auctions off the start. So let's say there's a price of an NFT and it's starting at $1,000, and every half an hour it would drop by $100.
Okay.
So maybe after the first 30 minutes, the price would now be $950, and then after another 30 minutes it'd be $900. And then in VFriends' case, they had so many of these Dutch auctions going on at the same time, and then one person would buy it at $800. But then there's some other dynamics as well that occur where there's sort of a floor price of that Dutch auction.
The minimum.
A minimum.
Yeah.
Kind of a minimum reserve per se.
Right.
And then the price would fall all the way to the reserve. And now all of a sudden the price is $300 and it's not changing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be available until it's bought.
Yeah.
So that's a traditional kind of Dutch auction with a reserve situation.
But why would you want that? Why would you want your price falling over a couple days?
You know what? So I think the reason is, it's profit maximization,
Okay.
which is I wouldn't say is the best route, but it is a method that a lot of people have used in the past. And this is where we can sort of see the flaws in it. What if somebody buys it at $800 and somebody, a day later gets it for $300?
Yeah.
Well, does the person who bought it for $800 feel sucky that somebody else got a similar item for much cheaper?
They definitely do.
Yeah.
They have to, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting. So
I guess it's not really a great community building tool because you're not really making your community members feel valued. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So that's the funny thing about these auction mechanics. It's whether or not are you profit maximizing or are you fair price maximizing? Are you trying to find the right price for something, or are you trying to just get every dollar out of your clients?
Because I guess if it's going from 1,000 to 300 at some point, maybe it gets to 500 and then it sells out. So 500 was your ideal price. That's where you should have priced it at.
Yeah. So let's talk about VFriends for a bit, because this is where the first big implementation of Dutch auctions kind of started, I think, at least, and we'll talk about Nifty maybe as well. But VFriends did it on their first drop. The only difference I would say is that all the rare ones were bought first. So, and that's the funny thing about NFTs. Maybe the one that was sold at $300 isn't the same as the one that was sold at $800. Mm-hmm. That one looked rare. That's why it sold earlier. Yeah. So that did kind of happen. And I think that is the funny thing, that, if your NFTs are unique and they're different and different rarities, maybe, maybe one is worth more. Yeah. But I'll tell you another method that people have been doing, and I guess it's with refunds. So that's a whole other aspect. So, what if you paid $800, but the final price in the end of it all was $300? Well, then let's just give back that person who paid $800 $500.
Okay.
And then isn't everybody happy that you got to a floor price and everybody got it at the same price?
Right.
So that's an interesting concept as well.
And that's something that people have been doing?
Yeah. But now let's think about that for a second. I mean, why is that complicated? And the reason why it's complicated is because it needs to be done with a smart contract, and you have to hold these funds too, right? So, there was the previous way of doing it that Nifty Gateway developed was doing Dutch auctions, right? With this final price, is what they would do is they would check your credit card to see if you had enough balance for it. Yeah. And then when finally it came said and done, the auction was over, they'd feel like, okay, all you guys won. Now we're ready to charge your card.
Yeah, okay, so that's like the way hotels do it when you check in.
Exactly.
Or even when you get gas. Yeah. They don't charge you, they just pre-auth and then they take what you owe.
Totally. But now you take it to another level, and this is where it kind of gets a little technical, but maybe thinking about it at least. How does this work in a cryptocurrency situation when there's no credit?
Yeah.
Right? So that's where you have to actually take the money, right? And then you have to hold it custodially in a certain way. And in our case, how we've developed some of our smart contracts is to keep it in the smart contract itself, where the smart contract knows that and then is able to refund that money in the future here based on who gets what minting. Yeah.
So you would, so if I bought a $500, or let's say I bought half an ETH worth of an NFT, and the price actually came in at 0.25. You would take the half an ETH and hold it in the smart contract, and then give me 0.25 back once we found the accurate price.
Exactly. And I mean, you all hope it works, in theory, right? But you don't know if you've heard of these cases where, I don't know, there was a story the other day about Akustars who they had a flaw in their smart contract, right? Where the refund script inside the smart contract couldn't be executed until all the bids were accounted for, but somebody found a flaw in the smart contract and they were able to intercept and keep applying these false bids, and it just kept all that custodial money locked. And so it's funny, but like it's so easy to think it's going to work, but smart contracts are complicated. There's a lot of order flow. There's a lot of transactions on chain that you have to figure out.
Is this where we see a bit of a flaw in Web3 with it being open source? Because someone read the code, found that there was a flaw, and was able to exploit it?
I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, we've had situations where you show the code ahead of time, and somebody's like, you know what, that's not perfect. This should be done to stop bots. And somebody actually helped us with that once, where we had a contract where we're glad we put it out to the public a few days early. Somebody was like, you know what, this is a big a bot can exploit this to take all the mints. So it wasn't necessarily bad, but so no, I think it can hurt that it is public, but it also helps. It's this is why Web3 is existing. We are beta testing all this code, so then all this code can be standardized and then used in the future for all these mechanics.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so Dutch auction is one way, and then you have this kind of refund. Is the refund aspect of the Dutch auction called something else? Does it have a name?
I'll call it a Dutch auction with a refund mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there other types of auctions?
There is. So, okay. So let's think about other kinds of auctions, like how traditional auction houses do it. So traditional auctions, it'll be a rising auction, right? Where you have a price, somebody else puts their paddle up or bids higher. So that's another version of an auction as well. So a rising auction. But now something we did really cool with Doodle's infrastructure was we did a bucket auction. And the bucket auction was quite cool and in a different mechanic. It was kind of a rising price theory, but then what would happen is there was only a certain amount of supply available. So let's understand that for a second. It's kind of like, the way I like to kind of think about it is a musician's at the park and they're playing for everybody and they have a bucket and everybody throws in some bucks to support the musician. That's the kind of the idea of the bucket. Put some money in the bucket and you get a great show. And put in whatever you want, is sort of the concept. That's sort of how our bucket auction worked as well. Put in whatever you want and you'll get something back. Or you'll get a refund for your amount was kind of the way we set it up.
Yeah.
So how it would work is maybe you would put in, I don't know, $1,000 and maybe I would only put in $200 and maybe that person over there would put in $10,000. We're all able to put money into the auction. And then what happens is because there's a fixed supply, maybe there's only, I don't know, 5,000 NFTs based on your proportional amount that you put in the bucket, you get that proportion of NFTs divvied out to you.
So there's got to be a minimum then, I guess, a minimum of dollars or ETH or whatever that you have to put in?
Yes, correct. And that minimum's rising.
Okay.
So that's the interesting part. So the minimum's really low at first. It's almost zero, right? That you're only 3 of us are part of this auction. We're dividing the bucket of NFTs, only 3 of us. But as you get 100 people in there, as you get 1,000 people in there, and as people are outbidding each other, the price is starting to rise.
Interesting.
So yeah, you know what? Nobody, Doodles was the first to do the bucket auction in the Ethereum ecosystem of NFTs, and it was really successful. There was maybe one flaw with it, but it was really positively received just because it was a fair way of allocating NFTs rather than this unfair way of, lowering the price and maximizing profit.
Do you remember how much they made off of that NFT drop?
Yeah, I think it was about $7 million.
Okay.
Wait, let me think about that. Yeah, $7 million.
$7 million. Well, that's not bad.
Well, I mean, you know what? For a 24-hour period, $7 million sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so when we think about this process of bidding, I guess it's great to actually go bid, but what do NFT collectors do, or what should they do prior to the actual bidding to decide like this is a project for them?
Wow. Okay, well, I mean, there's a golden rule in my friend circle of NFT collectors, and the golden rule is if you don't like the art, like that's your primary reason why you should be thinking about this. Do you like the art or do you not like the art? That's number one. If you like it, that itself should be enough for you to consider buying it. And it'll also make you feel good the whole way. Because you always look back and be like, I enjoy this for the art. That's what it was all about. So I think that's number one. The second thing is you should do is look at the people who are producing this project and do they have a track record? Number one, are they anonymous or do they actually exist? So I mean, I'm a good sleuth in Google. I'm able to Google you. I know you have like a Maven educational resource.
That's right.
Yeah,
you worked it out.
I figured it out. I mean, you got to do a little bit of Googling, and that's what you got to do. Figure out who the co-founders of this project are, and do they have a track record? Is there red flags on Google? That's number one. Look at their LinkedIn. Figure out if they're real people or not. I think that's important. Look at their track record. I don't know what I do as a sleuth is, I don't know. I was really impressed with a project that came out not too long ago. I went on Wayback Time Machine, and I realized that they weren't selling that product a year ago. They were like promoting this video platform,
right.
And all of a sudden, this video platform was promoting a Web3 project now, and it's just like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You guys pivoted from your, your. And I think that's what you got to do. You got to be kind of a sleuth and figure out, what are they in it for, and who are the partners. Yeah.
So when you're looking at a project and you're kind of like, okay, you're looking around the internet to find out how many Web3 is new. So to find out like that someone pivoted recently or that they're new to the space, is that a red flag or is that just representative of the space right now? Because nobody's been in it. Not many people have been here for 5 years.
I mean, there's a lot of us who are saying we're Web3 experts, but
right.
it's a new space and there's so many facets to it. And you're totally right. I think it is a new space, and it's not obvious to know what people's track records were in Web3 itself. There is a few people who like I like NFT ethics. There's a Twitter. There's a few sleuths out there as well who are showing some of the bad red flags of certain kind of creators. But I think it is a new space, and people are innovating, and I think people are surprising as well. Certain things sell that are outlandish and not what you would expect.
Isn't that the truth?
yeah, for sure. Jared, what was the last NFT you bought?
The last NFT I bought, so I mostly buy NFTs in Solana.
Oh, okay. So you're a Solana guy.
I actually don't really do anything in Ethereum. Most of the tokens I hold, so I trade crypto, so most of the tokens I hold are in Solana and NFTs. So Samo, which is a project, a PFP project that came out maybe a year ago, and so I have flipped a few of those, and all on Magic Eden.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I don't know many people that play in Solana, so I feel lonely.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't own a Solana NFT. I downloaded a Phantom wallet once, and I was like, I should buy some Solana. Should I? No, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: if you actually went to use your Phantom wallet, you would realize it's just way better.
Ooh.
It's so easy and so user friendly, and your NFTs are there right in front of you in your wallet. You can see them; they're present, available. I'm telling you, man, the world's gonna wake up and know soon.
Wow,
Controversial, I know.
That's controversial. I mean, this NFT circle has been, a lot of people have been on Ethereum.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've been hearing. I mean, Doodles moved to Flow, and I hate to say it, but West Coast knew that a long time ago. We kind of were in the know of what was being thought there, and we were really skeptical at first. A lot of us were like, "What's going on there? Does that make sense?" And because we're also Ethereum maxis, a lot of us are Ethereum maxis, and Bitcoin maxis, I would say as well. And Flow was skeptical, but I'm starting to understand why it can make sense to be on different chains, and mostly I think it's based on gas fees, and Solana is one of those ones that it's a lot more cost efficient to be on Solana.
It is, yeah, it definitely is, and with Doodles moving to Flow, I guess. Why was that surprising, or why was that hard for you guys when Flow is like, this is where it all started? I mean, they were the guys that created this. They obviously with NBA Top Shot and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like that was the reason that NFTs got really popular a couple of years ago, was because of NBA Top Shot and some of their brands. And so why, when they've been so masterful with NFTs, were you guys a little bit skeptical?
No question about it. They did a great job of Top Shots. I think where a lot of the hesitation on the Flow blockchain was is the Flow blockchain itself decentralized, and is it controlled?
Right.
And I think that's still the worry. Like what we saw with Top Shots was that the blockchain was being, like, the ledgers were being rewritten a few times, and them kind of being able to change that, or even create downtime in that they're upgrading how the data infrastructure exists, and that's really scary to a lot of developers. And we have some hardcore developers on our team that rub them the wrong way. A lot of them are in the belief that decentralized ledger is the most important thing, and Ethereum has done an amazing job of showcasing that it's defensible in that way. And I think what we're not realizing is that from a biz dev perspective or a business perspective, that Flow and Solana, the onboarding to credit cards to mainstream public matters a lot, and I think that's easier there.
But if it's not decentralized, what's the point?
I mean, is Pokemon
so I get
cards decentralized?
I get the argument, like, why don't you just, I don't know, sell it on eBay or something like that?
Yeah.
If it's not decentralized.
Yeah. So I think that the countering argument to that is Flow blockchain is slowly becoming more decentralized. And that does counter. I mean, if they are. And I think, what, they are starting to be. I can see it.
Yeah.
And it inspires me and maybe it can work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I understand the argument there as well. Obviously, that's a really important part of the vision of Web3, is the decentralization. Along with security and scalability, we need to have some aspects of all three of these.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, what, I don't know, from what I've thought about NFTs for a long time here is that NFTs really are a marketing arm for cryptocurrency in general. And I think in the end of it all, what I think the goal is for Bitcoin and Ethereum to become a stable currency that can be utilized instead of traditional
Fiat.
right? Yeah. So I think of NFTs as, one really awesome app, but also it's a marketing. It's marketing to all the normies and the ability for us to, have fun on the blockchain. But then really fundamentally, I think it's all about making the blockchain more powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the goal in my head, because that's the future I want to see. I want to see the future where, okay, I'll give you an example of something that bugs me this week. My girlfriend's cousin was going to Japan yesterday, and he lost 5% in currency conversions jumping to Japanese yen.
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's outrageous. That feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
5%.
And then he's going to lose it when he pulls it back into dollars again, right? Whatever he didn't spend.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I can't. I think that's what electronic digital currency can solve. It's this worldwide transactions, and then also it also makes the world more fair, which I think is quite cool too. Like, I don't think there should be restrictions on transferring money from countries. I don't think there should be. I think you should be allowed to move money whichever way you want. If you're a resident in another country and you want to buy something somewhere else, you should be able to. And then at the same time, some people will be like, well, what about Iran and North Korea? I mean, I guess so, but I don't care. I personally think it's better to be a world economy rather than,
And I think another interesting thing about that is like, well, if let's say you're a restaurant owner, you're selling ice cream, whatever, at the beach in your little shop, you transact thousands of transactions a day with credit cards, and you're paying 2 to 4% on each one of those. Whereas if you're doing that, if you're doing that on Ethereum, it'd be like 30%. But if you're doing that on Solana or Bitcoin, you'd be paying a fraction of that.
Yep.
That was a bit of a dig there.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that there is still flaws, but that's as we scale, Ethereum, I think, has a long vision. I don't know. I believe in Ethereum mostly because of how big it's gotten, and they've proven a lot. I think moving to proof of stake really is something inspirational. They actually did that, which is hard
and flawlessly.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, it took a long time, but it was flawless once it happened.
Oh.
Okay, let's go back into. I've got so many other questions I want to bring up with you now, but I don't want to deviate from what I want to talk to you about.
Let's talk about auctions.
Okay, so if we think now about royalties. Okay, so royalties they've kind of been sold as like, this is why NFTs are great. You're an artist and you should scrap your whatever you did before, because now you can make in perpetuity. You're on Dragon's Den, they always talk about this. Well, in perpetuity, I want 2% of your sales, right? And so, this is the great thing. You can sell your art, and every time it's resold, you're going to get a cut. So what's going on with this?
Wow. Okay. Well, it still works, and now it's gotten a lot messier. So I don't know. Let's back up the story a bit. There was, the primary marketplace for NFTs after Nifty Gateway. Nifty Gateway was, started off this, chain of royalties being owed to artists, and they enforced that. OpenSea kept that alive as well, and they created this royalty concept as well within their ecosystem, but it was never on chain. It's always been through a centralized service that enforces the royalties. And then what happened was OpenSea got a couple competitors, and they started realizing that, hey, we can start cutting away from OpenSea's market share by not enforcing royalties. One in particular was Blur, and Blur came in and said, hey, pay what you want. Pay what you want in terms of royalties, and pay what you want in terms of fees to us as well. They started creating some flexibility there, and they started to take a substantial chunk out of OpenSea's bottom line. And then what OpenSea did in response to that, which is a revelation about a month and a half, 2 months ago now, is they forced you now, if you want to launch a collection on OpenSea, you must implement this code in your smart contract that restricts your NFTs from being transferred by using a royalty registry, and you must be part of marketplaces that are enforcing royalties.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So they don't let you go to to a marketplace that doesn't enforce that royalty.
Correct.
So what if you created your own collection with your own smart contract and then sold it on OpenSea?
You can't collect royalties on OpenSea right now unless you put that code in your smart contract.
Okay, interesting.
So they flipped it a bit and they fixed it. So that's a Band-Aid fix, by the way. Okay, so why is this good and why is this bad? Okay, so there's a lot of nuances here. Okay, so one thing is it works now, sort of. OpenSea defended. Now Blur essentially won't get new contracts because they're just not going to be supported on their ecosystem. But the problem with it is now this whitelisting of marketplaces is in control of OpenSea somewhat, and they're saying no, we're going to allow this to be, a public domain good where, this board can say, yeah, this marketplace is good, this marketplace is bad, but that hasn't happened yet. So but the problem is it's creating centralization,
right,
which is bad.
Yes.
Right? A dangerous word there, right? And then the other weird nuance is that it's creating garbage code, I would call it. When you create this forced code base into a smart contract, you're stifling creation.
Right.
You're stifling smart contracts of innovating on themselves. Maybe there is a solution here we're not thinking about of how we can implement royalties flawlessly. And now you're forcing this code down every developer's throat that you must implement it this way. Yeah. And that's not wise. It's not a good way to build.
I mean, I certainly had heard amongst kind of artists that they were kind of expecting developers to innovate and be like, you got to find a way to still enforce this, because without this, why do we want to sell NFTs? This is like the center of the monetization that artists have been screwed out and musicians have been screwed over for years. This is finally our way to get back. And now, and it only lasted 2 years and now here we are again.
Yeah. I mean, it's capitalism at its finest. I mean, of trying to squeak out percentages, right?
Right.
And cutting people out of the equation. And I think, I'm really glad that OpenSea did what they did. Even though it was really controversial at the time, I think they kept the hope alive that it can still continue on. And I think fundamentally, the only way I think we get the long-term solution is the Ethereum blockchain or the Solana blockchain, possibly other blockchains implemented on-chain, where there's an on-chain royalty in the code base. Like if that's been done, if that upgrades in a certain way, maybe it is possible that it's forced. Right?
And I guess ultimately the issue here is that if I want to avoid paying royalties, I just transfer my NFT to your wallet and you transfer me the crypto, and we've now had a transaction. No royalties can be enforced.
And that's funny. I mean, as part of OpenSea's code, yes, you can do that. So that's allowed. Yes, and that's always how it's been, though. I mean that is. I mean, if you take you can always do OTC transactions without fees. So that to me seems fine.
But there's just an issue of trust there, right? Because if I don't know you, and if I send you the NFT and I'm waiting for your crypto, and what if you don't, and whatever. So OTC is fine if you're friends.
Exactly.
And you trust each other.
But if you don't, and you have to use an escrow or you need to use a marketplace, well, then you should pay your fees.
And so one of the kind of tenets of Web3 is disintermediation. This is a really important part of like, why are we doing this? Well, why did your friend have to pay 5% on the currency transfer? Well, part of it is because there's intermediaries that were taking part of that. So are we moving towards or away from disintermediation in this whole debacle that we're in the midst of right now?
Oh, I mean, it's a hard question, and I don't know if I'm an expert enough to say, but I do like that there needs to be a lot less middlemen, and I think that is. I like that part of Ethereum. I like that OpenSea's code is on chain, that anybody can use their smart contracts to transact as a marketplace. Like it's done non-custodially, and that's amazing. You know what? I'll give you a weird pivot here. This is something on this list that maybe you want to talk about. But Bitcoin NFTs don't do this.
They don't do what?
Okay, well, they don't support the idea of
royalties?
Well, they don't support royalties, number one. They don't also support the ability to transfer through an intermediary non-custodially. And because and I think that's super interesting that people are using OTC methods right now to transfer Bitcoin NFTs. So, Jared, it sounds like you don't know much about Bitcoin NFTs.
I was actually just going to say that. I don't know anything about Bitcoin NFTs except that you recently can buy Bitcoin, and you can buy NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain. So can you break it down a bit?
Wow. Okay. You know, I'm going to say I'm pretty noob at this myself, but I've done a handful of research and I know a bit about it. Okay. So what's going on? Okay, here's what the market is like right now, and feels like we're going into the past of NFTs, which is just weird. What's happening right now is there's a number of people who have Bitcoin wallets and they own NFTs, and then to currently, if you currently want to buy an NFT, well, there's no marketplaces because none of them exist. Okay, but if you want to buy an NFT right now, you go into a Discord channel and you're like, "Hey, can I buy your NFT?" And they're like, "Okay." What price? And you agree to a price, and you have to either have trust, as in you trust that person and they trust, and you send it to each other, or there's these escrows that have popped up with 2.5% fees.
Really?
Yeah. In these trusted Discords, and you send them both to the escrow, and the escrow sends it out with a 2.5% fee. And that's currently what's happening right now with Bitcoin NFTs, because Bitcoin's NFTs do not have marketplaces.
Yeah.
And there's also no smart contracts. There's no smart contracts on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Right.
So there's no non-custodial way to have this escrow transaction.
This seems like we're stepping back in time.
Yes, stepping back in time. But at the same time, this is something funny about NFT meta, which is people are enjoying it. You know what?
That's just because they're nerds.
They're totally nerds. You know what?
They're like, this is just so grassroots, and I can just hopefully I get the NFT from you because who screws each other on Discord, right? Never has that happened before.
You know what? I think the funny part about NFTs is when there's risk involved and there's money in the line, it makes it fun. It's gambling. Right?
Yeah.
It's a bit of gambling, and it's a bunch of gambling. And I think that's the fun part about NFTs. It's the enjoyment of risk and the possibility of striking gold. And I think that's fun.
So I remember hearing some type of brand related to NFTs. Ordinals?
Ordinals.
What is that?
Okay. Oh, wow. It's confusing. But, okay, let me see if I can explain it.
Take a deep breath.
This hurts my brain. But, okay. So, you know what a Satoshi is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay, come on.
Just making sure.
Come on now.
Well, I'm trying to work my head on it. So, there's a Bitcoin, and it breaks up into Satoshis, right?
100 million of them, right?
Is it 100 million?
Or 10 million? I can never remember.
8 zeros? Goodness, it's a lot. Okay?
A lot of zeros.
It's a lot, right? So each Satoshi has the ability to embed an NFT on it.
Okay.
That's the concept of ordinals.
Okay.
Every Satoshi has its own ordinal number.
Okay.
And as time progresses, more ordinals are being minted. So as more Bitcoin is minted, as Bitcoin is mined, you can take that mined Bitcoin with the lowest ordinal numbers and then apply an NFT to it.
And when we say an NFT, we don't mean the actual art of the NFT?
We do actually, yeah.
Okay, the actual art of the NFT.
Yeah.
And are they often PFPs? Is that kind of what's happening in Bitcoin right now? Do you know?
What's happening right now is there's a lot of copycat NFT projects that have been copycatted over from Ethereum to the Bitcoin blockchain. So like
Solana loves that kind of stuff too.
Oh, yeah, totally, right? The same apes over there, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and now sometimes what you're doing is you're doing it legally, and sometimes you're doing it gray zone. Like legally would be MFers, for example, are CCO. Has a copyright license that's allowed to be copied onto anything, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
and that's the concept as well. That so certain the Moonbirds have been copied over, and maybe that's done fairly.
Right.
That's allowed.
Yeah.
But now people put Bored Apes over there, and hey,
Right.
that's a gray zone because who owns the rights to those images?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's definitely not completely obvious what's going to happen there for sure.
So what does the Bitcoin maxi think of this? The true Bitcoin maxi, because they hate NFTs, right?
They have hated it all for a long time.
I mean, they hate everything except for they're just a grumpy group of complaining, whinging people.
Yeah, no changing their chain, no way. I don't know. I don't know what Bitcoin maxis think about Bitcoin NFTs, but all we know is that it is kind of hot right now. And there's some buzz around it, and I gotta say, there's a little bit of fun there. And it comes back to the fact that it's very difficult to do. Number one, and I think friction matters in this space, and I think that I think that's kind of cool that you have to jump through all these hurdles. Like one thing in particular to do Bitcoin NFTs right is you have to download a node on your computer to handle this. You have to do a command line right now, and that's really difficult.
Right.
And then you know what else is hilarious is that, like, remember how I said each Satoshi can attach an NFT to it? If you send Bitcoin out of your wallet, you could accidentally send your NFT with it.
Okay.
Because
boy, that increases the excitement.
So I mean, there's a lot of essentially the ecosystem hasn't been created yet, and it might be in the future here, but there's a lot of flaws with Bitcoin NFTs, and in particular, there's no smart contract here, no non-custodialness that can be created. So really, what you'll have to end up happening, me and Richard were talking about this the other day, is that you'd have to have a marketplace that exists that is custodial. Sort of an FTX, sort of a Nifty gateway, where they own all the assets and you trade within it.
And that's so in the face of what Bitcoin believes in. So why would that happen?
Yeah, so that's why
why wouldn't you just use Ethereum?
My intuition is it's not going to work.
Right.
But it is cool off the start. It is cool in new meta. So I mean,
do you have any knowledge? While you were talking, I had to pick up my phone and check because I couldn't remember what it was called. But this new social platform called, is it Damus or Damus? It's I
don't know.
Okay, well, let me teach you a little something here.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a big deal because a decentralized kind of Twitter launched on Bitcoin, and it's been released in the App Store.
Wow,
which is a huge deal. It got approved. And so now there's a lot of people kind of, we have true decentralized social media, and this is a big deal. I don't know technically anything about it. I've created an account and I've kind of checked it out. So far, nobody wants to follow me. But, I think when I typed Bitcoin Maxi on there, they knew it wasn't true. So anyways, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is maybe a couple weeks ago. It seemed to really get notoriety and that's really all I really know about it. So anyway, something for you to check out. But I think this is I don't usually end the podcast of me talking about something cool, but hey, this has been really great. I appreciate your perspective on NFTs. It's good to understand auctions and it's good to understand royalties, because I think when a newbie comes into Web3 and tries to buy something, it's obviously really overwhelming and confusing. And some of these two aspects of it is really helpful for us to get an understanding of. So this has been super helpful, and I really appreciate your time, Adil. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, Jared, it's been great. I mean, I learned a few things, and it's nice to just talk and catch up. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah.